Did you wrap it out? Or not just.
Yeah, I think she's gonna signal me and I'll say something.
Yeah. Did he in the middle before another minute to wrap up? I mean.
No, I had 3 minutes.
Maybe 1 minute hour, that's it.
Well, you know what, Cindy, what amazed me that you said that the extra half minute or minute would make the prolong the meeting.
Well, they don't, the county doesn't allow anybody.
There's a lot of prolonging.
3 minutes, 3 minutes for three audience would send me into.
I'm working on our thing. Okay. Is this yours?
Well, a lot of towns do that because it gets repetitious and there was a movie I saw where the same guy came to the meeting every time and said the same thing.
Yeah, that was a great movie. I think that's in the. Exactly what was going on at the end. People walk forward, the tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was this
alien.
That's on council to do that.
Yeah, right, is it 3, 4, 5? The county does.
What? You can only speak once a year?
On any
Oh,
one
same
topic. Topic.
But you know what? If the same topic keeps coming up, how do you deal with that? That's a little crazy.
You get somebody else.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got that too, right there.
Hey, Omar.
Hello.
So how it is when you're like, first get some of the minutes, just had February 28th. And you're like, oh, packets. or
First game
packets.
pitch.
You just have 28, you're like. It could be an eater. Omar wanted to practice. Well, get back to
I have.
Game to be over. Get out of here.
It's mine, but you don't want questions.
It's my segment sometimes.
Just so I can go there.
Oh, gotta spend about 24 hours.
I am Mark. Glad you are.
Good evening, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I've been saying good afternoon all day.
I didn't at least 3%.
I've been going since Sunday night at 6:30. I've not stopped since. I have.
Definitely.
I thought it was at least that, yeah.
Yeah.
The secret out of the range was 2.4 in March, the previous year to March, March 24, March 25, 2.4%.
Not even 7 yet, Lisa. Yeah.
Actually,
I'd like to call the town council special meeting to order. Debbie, could you call the roll, please?
Sure. Councilmember Figgy,
Present.
Councilmember Grubb,
Present.
Councilmember Holdren,
Present.
Councilmember Marino,
Present.
Councilmember Knock,
Here.
Councilmember Oswald, and Mayor Foskey.
Here. Thank you.
Okay.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the meeting agenda is basically just the 2026 budget. We did not advertise public comment, but I am going to allow public comment now if anybody would like to make a comment, but please keep it confined to the budget. So if anybody has anything, any comments? Come on up. Yeah, we're going to also, we're going to give people 3.5 minutes now. At 3 minutes, Debbie's going to signal me and tell you to wind up. So at 3.5 minutes, we're going to cut you off. Okay.
Hi, everybody. Casey Greer, 74 Market Street. I just wanted to raise two things quickly. One is I would really like the Planning Commission to have a small budget line. And I'd mentioned that to you before. There are a couple of reasons why. One is the possibility of paying for additional training, maybe bringing in people to talk with us and instruct us. And also, we may want to be doing many more maps. I'd like to see more maps in the comprehensive plan. I think it'll help us visualize what's going on in the town and think about the future better, and that will cost some money. So at any rate, 3 to 5, something like that. It won't be an enormous amount of money. And secondly, I know that there's been some, uproar and concern about hiring a firm to do a full assessment of the historic school building. And I want to speak out in support of doing that. Now, my supporting that does not mean that I'm speaking against the Friends of Onancock School. There seems to be a real problem with them sort of taking that position that if you speak for an assessment, you're speaking against the Friends, and that is not the case at all. The town has a multi-million-dollar property there, counting all the acreage and everything. And my take on it is, as long as the town is actually the owner, that we'd be much better served by having real information about the state of the building, issues having to do with water and the environment, the Chesapeake Bay, or how we're acting with the Chesapeake Bay Act, how we're dealing with stormwater. I mean, there's a lot of issues to think about with that. And my feeling on all this stuff is you're much better off with information. And the information is going to cost money to get it, but it will pay us in the long run because we'll be able to make real decisions instead of flapping, which is what we seem to be doing a lot. There's a lot of flapping that goes on. So at any rate, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else like to make a public comment? Okay, thank you. And you'll get there'll be a public hearing at the regular April meeting on the budget, advertised public hearing. You'll get another chance if you like to make a public comment then after you, hopefully we'll have it somewhat ironed out tonight and that'll go into the paper. All right. Okay, Matt, do you want to start
I
off?
can walk you through a little bit of it, sure. The first few pages 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the resolution that you would be voting on tonight. There's a typo on page 3 up in the header that should say 2025 tax, not 2024 tax, because we distribute those taxes in November of 2025. So I wanted to make sure that you saw that correction. The rest of the rates are the reflective of the increases that we need in order to really accomplish what's on page 6. Page 6 it's an old school simple reconciliation of last year's governmental budget. And when I say governmental budget, that's all the departments, not water, not grants, but all the police department, the marina, the administration, the public works, all of that. Okay. So the governmental budget are those departments. We have what I would say are 5 material additions to last year's budget. One is a 5th police officer plus the training. An officer costs roughly $78,000 or $73,000 after all employment costs, including hospitalization, retirement, taxes, that type of thing. And then the training is roughly $18,000. So the combination of the two is the $91,000. Where it says CIP difference, CIP stands for Capital Improvement Plan. We're required by law to budget a 5-year capital improvement plan. That's in the resolution up front. But what this says is next year's capital plan would be $376,000 more than this year's capital. So we're going to need to raise that much more money in order to cover that capital. The next is Sale 250. Sale 250, as we all know, the country's 250th anniversary is coming up, and we are an affiliate port. That's a really big honor for us, and we want to hold an event that's worthy of us and that. So that budget of 50,000 is what I have there. That's not including any of the grants that are going to be applied for, and I'm sure that they're going to be received. Employment costs go up $39,000. $20,000 of that is medical. That's just the cost and the increase in premiums. The rest is a 3% across the board cost of living increase for all employees equally. The next more material is expenditure is the additional plantings for Town Square. As you know, the ARPA budget includes renovation of Town Square, which will have an irrigation system, fresh renovated grass areas, some benches, and also some plantings. We can put the plantings in the operating budget and not dwindle away at the ARPA money that's going to be needed in order to get those renovations made. So that's what that $6,000 in plantings is. The following year, that will go away. And then the last says net all else. That means every other expenditure in this 25-page document nets to an increase of $4,000. Every other line item is plus or minus nets to $4,417. So you can see that we didn't take 3% across the board. We went line by line by line by line. And that's what net all else means. So we have 5 material increased items, and then the net of everything else in the entire budget is $4,000. So that the next page is what would show up in this Friday's newspaper as the advertisement for public hearing. You'll see that each, I'll call them buckets, but each bucket needs to balance to 0, and of course they do. These all total to the figures that we just reviewed, the government activities. The 2,815,330 is the target number that was at the bottom line of the previous page. So you can tell that's in balance. The number above that, 1,114,023, that number is all of the money that we will need to take from our reserves in order to do those things on the previous page. So the capital improvement plan is $974,000 this year, or I'm sorry, for next year. We're going to need to take that out of reserves in order to do that. The sale 250, we don't have that in tax revenue. We'll have to take that out of reserves. So if you look at the use of our reserves with the capital improvement plan over the next 5 years, at the 5th year with using all of those reserves, which is on page 4. So 2026 is 900,000, 2027 is 600,000, then 300, 500, and 500. Using all of those reserves, and the 5th year brings us exactly to the amount of our policy for reserves. So even though we're spending a lot of money over the next 5 years, at the 5th year, assuming no increase in value of our reserves, we'll be exactly at the point where each reserve is required to be according to our policy. So we're not overspending is what I'm trying to get at.
Hey, that's a good question, ma'am.
Of course,
So you're anticipating revenue that would keep us at that level
in 5 years. Is that right? I mean, how does that work out? The dollars we currently have will not remain static. So,
are we talking about the reserves?
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as the reserves are concerned, I assume no interest and no loss. That's the most conservative way to do it.
Thank
have the resource. I don't see them.
If we have a couple $1 million in reserve, we're not making any money on that?
Yeah, of course we are.
So you're not counting that into
I'm
anything?
not counting it in there
Okay, right.
because I don't know what the market's gonna do.
right.
If I could, trust me, my chair would be more comfortable.
So where did that go in as revenue for last year?
For last year, the auditors make that journal entry at the end of the year. And put it in the bound financials.
So it's not in our budget.
You
This
don't
is just
see it.
extra money we get with that. Okay. Okay.
I don't know, are you finished with what you wanted?
Yes,
to do?
ma'am.
Okay. On page 3, I'm looking at the utility rates. And I was under the impression that out of town would be paying more than in town. And it doesn't appear so unless I'm not reading this correctly.
I don't think you're reading it correctly because it's 10% higher for the out of town rate.
It doesn't appear to be that much.
This is 3405 in, 37 out. 1703 in, 1873 out.
What do you mean in and out?
In town?
In
now?
town, this is
Oh,
what in
oh,
town
oh,
pays,
this-
that's what out of town pays.
Okay, I was reading it incorrectly. I was reading
Okay.
these as two, this is in and this is out.
No,
Okay,
it's
thank you.
according to the every month billing versus the every other month billing.
Ratchets.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody, let's does anybody have any questions about page 3 to go through this?
I'd like to go through it
Yeah,
page by
yeah,
page.
page 3. That's the
That's
first one that makes any sense.
fine.
Okay, so page 3. Anybody questions? Omar? Hold on a second, you're not. Page 3. Mavis?
Look at this. No, I'm good.
Cindy? Joy?
I have problems with the tax increase. Is that when we want to discuss that now?
Well, no, you should make that known. Then we'll go through the budget and if we slash, yeah.
Okay, so I pay my taxes, which, I live in a very reasonable house. Currently, with the tax increase that we're doing on personal property, my taxes would go from $779 to $814, which is a $35 difference, $35 increase. Now, that's just on my house. That's not counting my personal property.
Oh, you just said personal property.
Not personal, real, that's real, sorry. That's
Okay.
my house, that's real. That's not counting my personal property, my boat, my 2 cars, my 5% county increase or my 3% water increase.
Mhm.
That's quite, when I read about the 5% county increase, I thought, we won't have to raise taxes. We can't raise taxes on top of that. We are. I'm concerned.
What would you have me remove?
Well, let's go through it no, let's
That's
let's go through it one by one and you can point out where you want to remove something. Yeah.
Right.
Lisa?
So my very first question was, how short are we in revenue if we remove the tax increase on real and personal, but keep the tot and meals tax increase?
The increase in the tot is minimal because we're struggling so much with our lodging. It's just dropping.
Oh, and we'll get to
So,
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I know.
that there's that part of
Yeah.
it. So no, I'm not going to make up anything in tot because the lodging dollars themselves are dropping.
Right.
Okay. As far as meals is concerned, that will increase revenue, but there's 2 restaurants that are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got all
So,
that in here
and
too.
it might be 3.
Yeah.
So that takes, so if we increase the tax rate by 0.5 point, which puts it even with Cape Charles, by the way, and we lose 1, 2, or 3 restaurants, we're not going to make any more money on that 0.5 point.
And I also, based on the numbers I was looking at today, I would say that you probably overestimated meals for next year.
I probably did.
Yeah, I have a concern that tourism is going to be down even more this coming year.
Why is that?
I think the
Economy.
political climate's a little rough, especially with people who are traveling foreign. So I have.
Cape Charles is down
concerns about that.
30% for bookings for this summer already, somebody said.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of a deal sucker. So that was my first question. What are we short if we?
What are we short? So you didn't answer that. What are we short?
You might have to run the numbers.
Well,
Well, I mean, you can
If
figure out
you
how much money
flat-
you make out of each penny increase, right? So
yeah, and I had put that in last
Yeah.
times.
it's like what? $15,000 for a penny increase or something?
Yeah, that's not close to right. Let me pull last
Make sure you get-
times out. This is going to take me a minute, so somebody might want to ask their next question.
That's okay. My other question for actually specific to page 3 was, is this the first time we're looking at out-of-town user rates, and will they apply to all of our current out-of-town users as of July 1st?
My first thought on that is not grandfathering in current out-of-town users for the simple reason that they're larger organizations and a small increase in their water rates isn't gonna hurt them.
Right.
So we're just talking about the
But-
hospital, right?
And Commonwealth.
And
Commonwealth, yeah, I
Commonwealth.
forgot about those two.
So those two in the plan. So, you
I
know,
forgot
you,
about the plan.
right, so those 3 are larger organizations. When the new development comes in, I want to have this process solidly in place so that it's not something that we spring on them as they build their first new unit. So I want them to know clearly that there is an increase.
And I think the page you were looking for is page 23 of the March 24th meeting.
Yes, that is the one, and I don't have that with me.
Okay, I do. Would you like me to read?
I got it here too. You know,
Would you? That
Yeah.
would be great.
Okay, so 1% in real estate tax generates $4,000.
wait a minute, that's not right.
Yes, it is.
1%, 1 cent or 1%?
1% is what this says.
Yeah, well, it's at 400.
So if we go up
Right.
4%, we're only generating $16,000?
Well, let her read the rest of it.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
10 cents on vehicle personal property generates $5,000. 10 cents on other personal property generates $1,500. And a 1% employee raise costs $7,000.
Excuse me, what's that based on? Would the underlying assumptions have changed? I mean. it has
What's
to be
what
based-
based on? It's based on the
Percentage.
assessed value of the real estate property.
And we are not in a reassessment year, so we know exactly what we're gonna build this year.
Right.
Thank goodness.
So I'm a little confused about the percentage increase and the penny per 100
It's
increase.
not a penny, it's a percent. That's
Percent.
where we have $400,000
Yeah,
that we bill in real estate tax. 1% of that is 4,000. That's what that means. So if we go up by 1%, we're going to make $4,000. If we go up 2%, it's going to be $8,000.
so we're going up 4% planned, right?
Yeah,
So
4.5,
So that's only generating $16,000?
correct.
So 18, so
Well,
if we,
18, yeah.
so if we trim $18,000 for the budget, we don't have to raise our taxes, is that what you're saying?
Your real estate tax.
Real estate taxes. Okay,
18,000 we can do.
So
I'm still confused because how much are we going up in terms of okay, so what was the old rate?
24 or something.
24.2.
242.
Yeah, and we're going to 25.3. But there's a page in here that has percentage.
Oh, so we're not going up, we're only going up a penny, okay. Oh, I see, there's a difference, yeah, okay.
I just have
This-
one
this-
more.
Yeah, page 24 has the real estate broken out for you if you want to look at it a little bit more
Okay, well, that-
carefully.
There it is.
Okay. All right. Did you get your quote? Did you get your?
I just wanted to make one more comment, because I did go line by line and I made some notes. Because my preference would be to not raise the real and personal if possible. So I want to make sure that we're really thoughtful on each expenditure and what we're predicting. So if it seems nitpicky, I apologize, but I think it's. worth the
No, I
conversation.
appreciate it, but I mean, the largest hurdle is the $91,000 for the new police officer.
Can I ask something?
About, I know everybody's clamoring for another officer. This situation seems to me that we keep hiring and training and losing. And I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be more practical to to hold off any additional hiring of officers until we can get an experienced officer who goes on the job immediately. Because the cost of training, the cost of the officer who has to sit with that babysit for that 6 weeks or months or whatever it is, I think we're selling it short rather than going and getting an officer and hold off until you got what you want instead of keep doing this.
All right, let's bring back the police. When we talk about police, let's bring that back when we talk about police. Okay, we're jumping all over the place here. Yeah, let's try page 3 again.
That was my last question.
Okay. Okay, so page 4, I guess this is more of the capital improvement plan. Can we?
Yeah.
You want to weigh in on that? Start on you.
I actually had 2 questions, because I know the first one I had under 2027 for capital improvements. We'd already gotten an email about some concern about purchasing a first responder truck. So I just wanted to ask, this would be a purchase in lieu of another SUV, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And if so, do you know what the price differential was? I didn't think it was that much.
It's really about $10,000.
10,000.
Can't we
Okay.
borrow money to do that, or?
Well, we would,
The
and
price
we would
difference
also
was
get a
what-
grant,
yeah, SUV.
so
So it might not be.
our net cost would be less than that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Second thing.
And then if not purchased, what is the backup plan for relocating security cameras?
Well, we have pickup trucks,
And that's why,
yeah.
okay.
The DPW spends a half a day a month with the officers right now relocating the cameras. I don't see any reason that couldn't continue.
Okay. And then the update of Christmas decorations, is this for all new items? If so, does this expand the reach of the decorations? If replacements, what are we replacing? And does it make sense to do it all in one year? And with tariffs, does this amount make sense at all?
I agree.
I know.
100% of everything you said.
Yeah.
Well, the concept for this was that once we replace our streetlights, we won't have any decorations for them. So this was
poles.
only for the streetlights.
Could I add something to that also? The design committee has not met. I guess this is an estimate that Matt came up with, but there has not been a specific request for a dollar amount.
Correct.
And when are the poles gonna be replaced?
And can you
Over the
reduce
next,
that by?
over the next 2 years, you'll see up in line 2 on the CIP shows you that it spans over 2 years.
And it's not even a year we're talking.
Yeah, so these dollars are coming in from reserves. They're not part of our
Budget. Yeah, correct.
budget.
Correct.
So
And if-
this is just me asking the questions for.
And if we adopt something for 27, we can change it next year, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, right. It's not set in stone, right?
It's not set in stone, but it's,
Nice to know. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. Lisa, you through?
That was my
Joy?
next question.
Capital improvements?
No, but I would like to go back to page 4.
Well, we're on
That
page
was
4.
where I'm-
That's where we
Yeah.
are.
Revenue, 1.6 million. Right?
yes,
Use of town reserves, 1.1 million.
yes.
And what are we doing with those reserves?
It's
Budget.
listed out, it's listed out down below in the CIP for 954,000 of it.
Well, you just said these aren't coming out of the budget.
They're not. They're use of
Coming
town
out of the
reserves.
reserve.
That,
Those are-
that's why
Right.
he's added that as
Yeah.
coming in. That's why you see the,
The separate line
Yeah.
item that says use of town reserves.
Yeah.
It's not part of tax revenue.
I understand that. Then in the line item budget, you have a contingency fund of $900 and some thousand.
It's not contingency. That's exactly 954,000, which is the dollar amount of this first year CIP.
Okay, thank you.
Cindy?
I have a question about the kayak park boardwalk.
Okay,
I understand that that was in the Hill Street plan, but I have heard no discussion about it here. I was not aware that we were even considering it.
well, the planning commission has as part of their current comprehensive plan that access to the water be made more readily available to people who don't live on the water. And that's the drawing of the boardwalk, and it would accomplish that. So that's why I put it there. That's the sole reason.
I understand.
It's also,
but
yeah, it's also 5 years out.
It's still, it's an awful lot of money for
$380,000.
fairly to me.
Well, we didn't do it the first time because of the cost. Yeah, it was part, it was a
I'm
part.
opposed to it on general terms based on the amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do everything for everybody. Just my thought.
Is anybody else opposed to it? I mean, that's not,
The
Okay,
number
well.
is daunting. I'm not opposed to making it a little bit more exciting for people to go down there and use it. We don't have a lot of public space available, so that's kind of nice.
well, it seems like I think you better pull that one out.
No problem.
Okay, thank you.
One more question.
Well, let's not put it in there if we don't want to, we can put it in next year. Yeah, right, yeah. We can revisit it next year, yeah. Yeah, so I'm not finished.
I don't see anything in here about the school.
Oh.
Would that not go in here?
For what?
Anything?
It's a
It's up in the
it's a
air.
very valid question. And one that I haven't gotten commitment from council on whether or not you're gonna financially support the school or not.
Well, we're
So
still
I
waiting
left
on
it
the-
out,
We're still waiting on the engineering assessments.
which you
Yeah.
haven't given me permission to spend $50,000 to get.
Pardon me?
I would
Say-
have to spend $50,000
Well, I
to
thought
get
they were
them.
good. I thought that was an
That's
estimate.
It is an estimate, but I have to, eventually, I'm gonna have to say yes to
Well, I think we need to bring that
estimate.
up at the April meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Needs to go on the
So
agenda.
my question is if we adopt a capital improvement, we can change it from, we can add on to it, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So we can change this at
Yes.
the end of the month to add the school if we decide to.
Where we at?
Yes,
That's a separate question.
right.
It's the question. But I mean, honestly, you've supported the study, so we would have to come up with it presumably from reserves.
Well, I think Matt gave us a real succinct steps of first you get the assessment.
Yes,
Then you look at what you need, then you get your estimates, and then you say, okay, where do we get the money? So
Yeah.
that's, yeah. Can I come back?
yes.
Sure. What's paving and striping?
Street.
Paving and striping is the streets that are our responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the King,
and parking lots also.
okay, street and parking. The King Street sidewalk, are we totally committed to that?
I just got the drawings for that and I've gotten the price estimate for that. While I'm in favor of a sidewalk that connects King Street to Market Street so that people can walk safely without that blind bend. I'm no longer in support of that project because of the numbers that they threw at me.
It's like 100 feet of sidewalk, right? I mean,
It's more than that, but it's that they can't do it on your side of the street. The engineers moved it to the other side of the street and it also lost 3 parking spots across from Mallard's. So now we lose parking spots. I lose the loading zone in front of Mallard's. And it's 2.5 times the amount of money that they originally estimated. So
So it is
I'm-
not carved in stone. We can, because.
it is absolutely not
Good.
carved in stone.
Good, because I see a lot more people walking, you know me, I walk.
Yep.
From Mount Prospect to town than I see walking around. So I'm glad to hear it's not carved.
Is there any other measures we could take for safety purposes?
We tried talking about putting, we've got our the second grant, which is the sidewalk or crosswalk rather. That number came in also significantly higher than they wanted to, but they're trying to accomplish a lot of different things with that. They took, they made the turn only lane all the way from basically the laundromat all the way to Hill. And they added one lane on one side and then added parking spaces in front of where Maurice would be, that type of thing. And then they added crosswalks, the 10 crosswalks that were part of the deal. The new traffic pattern and parking spaces put budget creep in that project to the point where I've got to go back to them and say, you know, we really need to go back to the original intent of this for crosswalks.
And we're paying for the crosswalks?
We would be paying 28% for the crosswalks.
Yeah, but I didn't know anything about doing something at Market Street out there in the B2 district. Is that something they came up with?
Well, when we put the 10 crosswalks together, one of them was out in the B2 district because people cross the street out there too.
Well, I understand that, but there's nothing about closing down the.
That's where they put those in
And adding
for
parking, yeah.
for safety
Okay, that's there. Okay,
purposes.
all right. So we're gonna hear
Yeah,
about this.
I
then,
had
yeah.
nothing to do with that.
Yeah, okay, all right. That's the first
So-
I've heard of it either.
So question on that.
Yeah,
So it sounds as though they are suggesting some form of redoing the road diet that the county said the county didn't want. Is that?
No, I don't.
that's
Am I-
that's a really
Am I
good way to
hearing
look
that
at it.
right?
When I looked at the overhead picture of it, that was exactly the image I got, was the road diet got pushed into Onancock proper.
Well, just from Maurice Inn is what you're saying.
Yeah, probably from Cook's
Yeah,
Car
yep.
Wash in.
So we're gonna see
thing.
more about this, right? Well, let's get back. Yeah.
You're gonna see more
Yeah.
about this, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be coming and asking for support for the King Street sidewalk.
Yeah,
And-
I agree.
and I've
I
gotta
agree with you on that. Yeah.
And I've got to back off on the project for the crosswalks to remove all of the additional items that they had added.
Yeah, sounds like a good
Um,
plan.
Right.
Well, do we want to do something with the King Street, leave it in there, or do you want to take it out? What do you want to do? I mean, we just saved ourselves $1 million for between the
So,
two of those things
uh,
almost. No, well, that's not true.
A
That one.
question on that. Did they offer any alternative way to improve the pedestrian safety at the end of Market and King and around the wharf without the whole scale plan that they brought back to you?
No,
Would they accept any reality check on that?
we won a grant called Ready, Set, Go for those two projects. So
Yeah.
they did all of the engineering and cost studying for those two projects. I don't know if I can go back to that same engineering group and saying, well, you know, we really don't want this. Can we paint pedestrian lines in? For example,
Is
I
it
don't
worth
know.
that?
I don't know. I'm more than happy to ask. I
I mean,
mean, shameless that way.
I agree that what they came back to you with on the
Mhm.
King Street thing is not appropriate. I hope there may be some other solution, and I'd like to pursue that at least
Okay.
to find out if it's that or nothing,
Well, I
or if
agree.
there's another
Well, I
way
think
to get
Yeah,
there.
I agree. That
Well,
that
yeah.
corner is dangerous
Yes.
and
we need council consensus to pursue that. It's not a, yeah. So does that agree that, does that sound like a plan? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just to look in to see if there's a way we can paint something and make it safer down there. I mean, everybody agrees that's kind of,
Cost us anything to
no,
do this.
no,
right?
look into it, right? Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
That's quite true.
yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
The road is owned by VDOT, correct?
yes.
Yes.
And VDOT doesn't have the responsibility for public safety around that road. and responsibility for it?
They probably don't think it's a public safety issue. I don't know.
Don't we have a
Correct.
But can't we make sure they understand
We
that
have a
it
little
is?
snippet of King Street.
We haven't had any.
We have to have somebody get hit? Okay.
No, just like one little area.
Have you known anybody that's been hit down
Huh?
Oh, like right back
Yeah.
there?
You can jump. That's the only way you get out of the way.
there? I don't know.
Or-
I don't know.
Okay.
All right, let's, we're getting, I forgot where we were.
Well,
So that would be
We
You
decided
wanna
whether we need to kick
take
King
the-
Street out.
take the 366
Has
out.
everybody agreed on that? Okay, all right. All right, well, we're saving our, we're replenishing our capital.
Reserves are
It's all
doing great.
futures.
I know, but yeah,
Can I
all right.
recap? Are we going to reduce the chief first responder truck to an SUV? Are we in that agreement?
I
or
don't think
not?
we agree, I don't think we've agreed on that.
Okay.
Well, then, no, we can, if we want to. I don't think we agreed on it.
So it's a $10,000 difference is what Matt just shared with us, so.
If he could get a first responder truck for the same price as an SUV, would that be acceptable?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's scheduled for a new vehicle next year, correct? Or not?
Well,
no. I looked at the CIP. and it's
yeah,
not
well,
there.
we have to go through, he would be cycling his vehicle down to the other officers. So the fifth officer would be getting one of our newer officers' cars.
But I don't see any,
There's not.
there's no other cars that can be replaced to 2030?
I don't think that we're gonna need to,
Oh, okay,
if we get one in 2027.
okay. I don't, it's up to council.
We've got-
Well, we agreed if it doesn't cost any more than a regular car. Yeah.
The chief did present it to us last meeting. I don't think we agreed on anything.
No, we didn't, no.
Yeah, he,
No.
yes.
Yeah.
But Matt's just proposed that if it's the same cost as a car, does anybody have any issues with that?
I
don't-
don't.
I don't see why we would have any issues with that. It's Steve's prerogative.
Okay.
Yeah.
A question, would it be a vehicle with a back seat that he could lock somebody in the back seat up? I mean, would it be a four-door pickup?
I don't know.
I mean,
don't
because doesn't he need that functionality as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure given all the equipment that they have in their current vehicles, they can put somebody in the back seat now.
Oh, okay.
They have an enormous amount of equipment in the back of their cars.
They don't have the capacity to do that now, to lock someone up in the backseat?
Bless you.
Isn't that scary?
Not for me.
Not for me.
All right, well, we're getting off, again.
So,
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just getting, trying to get back on the, yeah. Or,
okay. 2026 is what we could look at to trim these tax increases. Is that right?
not
No,
on capital
no,
improvement
This is coming
caps.
from
No.
Okay, we get, all right.
Street parking lot, 399,250. Is that realistic?
I don't think it's enough.
Well, I got a quote for milling and paving and it is enough.
But that does include
But
curbing and
you said
everything.
this,
And I would
Yeah.
increase that. Plus I've got lights in there for,
Yeah,
I mean, I know how much the lights cost. I know how much the curbing would cost just based on the concrete work we've had done.
so you're saying,
So-
yes, it is.
I'm saying it's very reasonable.
And it's more than just paving.
well, it's curbs
It's
and lighting.
it's milling and paving and street lights and the curbing.
And, yeah, and if, and
And you expect to have all the engineering in place at time to do this in 2026?
Well, this is a rollover from 2025, so we're just gonna continue to move as quickly as we can move.
And is it just for parking lot or is this just for the parking lot or part of, for the farmer's market?
The parking lot only, what's done inside the parking lot is not gonna add cost to this project.
And this addresses the drainage?
It will have to because we're gonna disturb more than 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
But there was testing, correct, that
We did test the system in place and it did function as it should.
even though it blew out something at the other end?
Well, it blew out the leaves that were
Yeah.
clogging it, I mean,
No, I mean, the King Street. Wasn't there one of the
Oh,
tests?
that was a different
Different thing. That was
mishap.
water.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Different mishap altogether.
There were two things on King
Okay,
Street.
that's,
Yeah, when we were putting the fire suppression system in, they turned a valve and that valve pressurized a pipe that had been abandoned for a long time. And that's why King Street around
Okay.
the bend erupted.
Okay, I
So that was,
misunderstood.
yeah, that was completely different.
Okay, sorry for interjecting
No,
that
no,
confusion.
no
Thank you.
worries.
all right.
No
Where
worries.
are we on the,
I'm done.
Cindy, on
I'm
capital
done.
improvements?
Okay.
Capital improvements? Capital improvements?
One more question on the chief vehicle. As I recall, the purpose for his requesting a truck instead of an SUV was to be able not to have to get on the schedule of the public work guys to do adjustments for the cameras.
Mhm.
Somebody just said that there is a scheduled regular plan for the public work guys to work with the police department.
Yeah,
Are there other considerations that would make it advantageous for the chief to have a truck? Is it just the cameras or are there other things too?
I
Do you
don't
know?
think it's just the camera. I think it's carrying evidence because if you remember, they've got so much equipment in the back right now. They have no storage in those SUVs. It's jammed right to the back. So I would say he could carry evidence. A truck would not be wasteful in any way. If it can't be done for cost purposes, of course, we're going to continue to help and we're going to continue to move cameras around, but it would give him the flexibility that he doesn't currently have.
Mhm. I mean, I would like for us to be able to find a way to give him that flexibility.
Yeah. So would I.
As long as it doesn't break the bank.
Correct.
Mavis, you got something else there?
I just want to go back to what Lisa said on the update of Christmas decorations. You've made three options and I don't know whether we came to a conclusion on that and I liked all three. But I think looking at $75,000 in that spot shakes me and I would like to, could you just refresh what you said?
Sure, and it is part of the sheet I handed out as well. So is this for new items? If so, does it expand the reach of the decorations? If replacements, what are we replacing? And does it make sense to do in all 1 year? And with tariffs, does this amount even make sense still?
And once again, the design committee has not met, so it can't answer any of those questions.
But the one question or the one thing is that what we have now, once the streetlights are replaced, will no longer have a way to be implemented.
Downtown, I don't know about uptown. I don't know.
Okay.
Good.
Uptown is a couple years out. So
Yeah, I think they can still, I don't know.
Uptown isn't even on
Well,
it is.
It is up.
Well, we never know what anything
Lights
is.
Streetlights Uptown 2028, $238,000.
$237,000. Yeah, I think we need to get some information about that. And I mean, like I said, we can change, this is next year. So we can spread this out. I think we got some work to do on this. Yeah.
Just trim that.
I think we're talking, we don't really know what we're talking, you know. That correct?
So do you want me to use it as a placeholder or remove it?
Well, I think we need to put something there. Yeah, so
Lisa's comment was a third or something along the way. And is it possible to do 1/3 and put that in there for now as the placeholder?
We're not talking real money. We're
No.
talking an estimate that
So,
has no basis.
okay, then let's not do any of this because none of it is real money then.
Okay.
no, we have to have a plan. So I don't think
We know we're gonna do something.
it doesn't really make any difference whether you put 3 in there or just leave it like it is now. Really, I mean.
Well,
long-
we still want to be impactful at Christmas and make a splash. So do we need to do this? Yes, I guess the committee probably needs to meet and figure out what's real versus,
Yeah.
what we could probably trim.
So, and to approve a budget,
Well, this is,
this capital improvements
yeah,
plan,
it's a
I
different thing.
think you need a number in there. And I think it needs to be more realistic. End of story.
Well, does anybody want to put it over 2 years and divide it in half or something, or just leave it like it is as a placeholder? We need to make a decision here. Let's,
Right, if the design committee could meet sometime in the next year.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, all right, let's just leave it like it is. We're not going to spend that money today. Yeah, all right. Thank you. Any more questions?
What's the water generator for?
Because
Keep your pump running.
because
Build a tower?
the tower.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to cut that out. Omar, capital improvements questions? Okay. All right, nothing page 4, there's nothing on there. Page 6, I think Matt explained that pretty well. And I think he said, okay.
Tell me what are we getting for $50,000 for sale 250?
That's a great question.
Can I defer to you?
Are we getting a tall ship?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
And
And
50,000?
no, not for 50,000, thank goodness. Debbie's written a grant or is in the process of writing a grant to split the cost of the ship, which I think was a 6,000. And then, so we're talking about advertising. There's a grant out right now for VTC that it's a 1-to-1, 20,000 max. So the town, this part of that 10 or 50 would be 10,000 for the advertising. We're talking about potentially a band. We're looking into fireworks. We're trying to come up with an event where, I mean, this is gonna be the whole weekend. There's gonna be ceremonies with the ships and, little receptions and whatnot. So we're really trying to build this out. This is going to cost more than $50,000. We also we tried to pitch the county, but we didn't quite get our ask in time. Because they're not doing anything. But we're also going to be asking for sponsorship money from the community and from big, employers in the area. We are one of 2 affiliate harbors on the Eastern Shore, and we are actually the weekend before Cape Charles.
So this is a line item for our budget, correct? Okay.
Yeah, but it's not, it's coming out of your reserves.
It is.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. That's part of when you take the 954 and you add 50 to it, that's how you
Oh,
start to get to the
okay.
1.1
Thank you.
million.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, okay. All right. All right. Any other, okay.
Well, the 20,000 on tourism, how will you spend that?
Oh, we've talked about billboards. Is it a social media marketing campaign? Is it radio ads? Is it print? I think billboards would probably be the most impactful because people like to travel in the summer and they like to come up the scenic route on 13. So that might be a potential. We are starting to run short on getting things out there. So I know I'm on a small committee with Debbie and a couple others in the community that are trying to plan this.
What's the date, just so we all have
It's
it?
the 13th, June 13th. Is that right, Deb?
Of 26.
Yes,
Yeah.
the 26th.
Is there anything like Harbor Fest included in this?
No, but that's kind of the vision I kind of had for the party side of it. We've even talked about having a potential educational piece. I know the last year that you all did Harbor Fest was my first year. And there was really cool stuff about the watershed over in Town Square for the kids. And so there might be potential for that aspect of it too. We're trying to coordinate with the public school system to get them to show some interest for Virginia, Virginia studies in middle school and whatnot. And so write letters to the ships or tour the ships. It's right at the end of the school year, so that might be hard, but we're trying to figure out the pieces to actually really engage the students and their families.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So get it clear. I mean, I don't want these people to be sale people to be doing all the work if they're not going to have a budget here. So is it okay with, we have $50,000,
Sounds important. This is a big thing.
yeah. So I mean, and this could be, you say if we get the grants would reduce this, or this is what we're going to come out of our pocket?
No, this is what's going to come out of your pocket.
So we're going to spend more than that. Yeah. And grants are going to
Yes,
reduce.
So we plan on getting sponsorship dollars as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Because, I mean, it didn't cost, Harbor Fest was somewhere between 10 and 15,000 put on. So we should be able to.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we've talked about a drone show, but that's crazy expensive. A drone show. So instead of the fireworks, they send drones up to do it.
Yeah.
There's a light show that's
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
cheaper than
There-
fireworks.
That's
Laser.
Okay.
Laser show.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we're okay with this. So anybody have a problem with that? Okay. All right. Any other questions on page 6? Page 7, which was going in the newspaper, it's sort of complicated. But any questions about that?
No.
Okay. And then, I think 8, Matt, is that just a summary, right? You want to get back down to the nitty gritty of each department?
Well, actually, I had a question on this page.
Okay,
Page 8. This
The
is the
salaries, yeah.
staff salary page.
yeah.
I didn't see Mary Ellen or the trash administrative assistant listed in your 2025 numbers, because I wanted to kind of see the current allocation for that spot.
It's 50-50 between admin and water.
And you're still recommending 50-50 in the coming budget.
I am, because the meters are starting to become replaced. They're starting to stage in mid-May. So we're hoping by the end of July, August, that the meters will be finished to be replaced. So that means that now HRSD will be doing all of our billing,
Right, which Yeah.
now splits the person in half rather than 100%.
Can I interject into that same item? That was confusing to me because the percentage allocation shows 100% admin assistants.
You're right, it does. It should
So
show
it's
50
really
and
just
50.
one, Right?
Yes, it's 50 and 50.
50-50.
So
Sorry.
then that begs another question that I don't have on my sheet. On page 11, just real quick, your administrative wages are going up 19%. And I believe you'd made a comment saying that because you were going to take some of that person's job out of water and put it into admin,
Right, which is where it is.
but
That's
it's
right.
already currently separated out 50-50.
No, it's not currently separated out 50-50. It's currently 100% in water.
Oh, okay. That's why I said when you didn't list any numbers, I wasn't sure
Oh, okay.
where that
Sorry.
was. Okay.
Okay.
And then is 19% enough? Okay. All right. That was my only question on page 8.
I have some.
Joy?
Under, DPW worker, $24.60 an hour. This is our new hire, right?
I used the numbers from our departed
Previous,
person.
right.
Yes.
Because if we bring that person in, have you had any applicants? How's it
I have
going?
2 applicants. One of them is worth speaking with.
That's good, 50%. They will be making more than the guys who are still here. I just wonder if that's what we want to do, to bring in a new hire and pay
Yeah.
them more than our current employees.
That's the not to exceed budget. I wouldn't do that to the guys.
Good. Because they're only making 23 and 21,
Right.
so that would be a difference.
I do want to make sure that we're recruiting the best possible person because they do a lot with very few people. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we're being able to recruit somebody who's going to stay and do good work and understand that they're being valued by their pay. So there's that kind of.
It's a competitive marketplace out there right now.
Yeah, it's $936 more than our lowest paid police officers. That person is making $936 more. Not sure we want to let that out there. So but Matt said he will adjust that. Correct, Matt?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's his ceiling is what he.
that's the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Derek. All right, any other questions on page 8 or anything?
Oh,
No.
are
I
you
just-
done?
No, I just want to point out that this comes to a total of $1,064,000. So
That sounds right.
that sounds right, huh?
It sure
That's
does.
a lot of money.
It's,
Okay. I'm done.
Matt, could you remind me what our percentage increase COLA was last year?
2.5.
2.5.
The year before that was a lot, right? Or-
Year-
Year before that was almost all market adjustments because we had to bring in a new DPW guy that I couldn't.
Right. And
Yeah,
we jumped the
so
police up a lot too.
we jumped the police up a lot.
Okay.
Was it like 7 or over 7% the previous year?
Previous year was over 7.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the CPI went up enormously also that
It
year.
did.
My point in bringing this topic up is I looked up the CPI today. And for the year ending in March for the previous 12 months, the CPI was up 2.4%.
Mhm.
So I'm just throwing that out there that 3% may be higher than the actual cost of living
Right.
increase.
But,
No, I went to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics and got the cost, the CPI for fuel, food and housing, and it was 4.25.
That's a little
So-
confusing. It said all items was
Well, that's-
2.4, and then
that's
it
what-
said less food and gas or
I
something was
I agree
2.8.
with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Very
agree with you.
confusing.
I
Which
agree
is
with you.
ridiculous
So
not
I
to
don't,
include.
but I mean, you're just giving-
what I'm hoping is that we're now at the stage where we're gonna be, just say plodding along at 2.5% and 3% each year, because I think we're at a marketably competitive place.
I think we're above the market when it comes to wages as competitively.
compared to
I
who?
would challenge that.
I have one more question. On the part-time administrative assistant, do you have a job description for that position? And
We-
also for that matter, for the administrative assistant, since you said
Yes.
you're going to change that,
We do,
could we see those?
yes.
Anybody else on wages here? Okay. All right, page 9, that's just a thing of the whole
It's just a
thing.
summary of it.
Summary, let's go, yeah, all right, let's get on to that, town council, I don't think there's, I had a, okay, Amari, anybody, you got any, Amar? Anybody?
I have one.
Okay,
I don't love spending $36,000 on an attorney.
I don't either.
What page are we on? Sorry.
page
Page
10.
And
Counts, but
Either.
We've been, if you have another idea, let me know.
Yeah, I don't
18
know.
to 24 to 36 in what, 2 years, 3 years?
It was never 18, was it?
Yes, it was.
a few years
Yeah.
ago,
Oh, yeah,
that was-
okay, that's
he
right.
came in half
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, that's right. It was a half a year and then he went to 2. I'm open for any suggestions if you want to come up with, we've struggled. There's no, if you want to go back to advertising for a local attorney, but we haven't had much luck with that.
No, and I knew that's probably the case, but
It would be hopeful that we would have a local attorney and be able to attend thank you, and attend meetings where necessary, and that it wouldn't be a conversation that somebody had and got interpreted rather than having the attorney here and we can discuss things. So I find this situation that we're in right now and at the expense not really in our best interest.
I agree.
But we've had 2 local attorneys that didn't come to meetings.
Well, we didn't have to have them at every meeting, but
They didn't
we
come
could
at any-
call them to come.
They didn't
They
come.
don't, they also don't specialize in municipal law where
Right,
our
yeah.
current lawyer does.
I'm missing the echo is killing me. Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
I said they don't, our local attorneys don't specialize in municipal law. And we have benefited from his expertise. He also can attend via Zoom. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we can see him the size of,
well, we could try to get him in maybe some more.
Well, that's a council decision because we hire the town attorney.
Yep. Well, you need to know, I mean, if we got a budget items, if you think you can come up with a better solution, I'm more than willing to listen to it.
I feel for like $36,000 a year, he could show up in person.
From Richmond?
Okay, he's not even from across the bay. Oh, gee.
Well, he is, but then another while.
Mhm.
And part of the issue was that we were in a big state when we first started and we were getting it at 24,000. And we were really constantly in contact with the lawyer, and now the rate has gone up and we shouldn't be in contact as much, I'm thinking. And I find it objectionable when a council member calls the attorney and then or just off the top, and then we get the filtered information later.
I repeat,
When
I'm open to any
When I
suggestion.
came on council,
Huh?
$500 a year.
Yeah, and I can't remember the last time we had an attorney
Oh.
come in and come in and talk to us. Even
I'm very blessed when I first started working for the town.
Yeah.
John Custis did a lot of things.
but
for
he
us
didn't
pro
come to
bono.
meetings. He didn't come to meetings.
He went. he
Well,
did
maybe
went to
once or
one
twice.
two, but
Yeah,
it
not
wasn't-
much,
no,
no.
it wasn't-
And he
wasn't
wasn't a
across the
municipal
board or
lawyer.
anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
meeting
No.
that is necessary. When you say we're gonna discuss blah, blah, and then say have the attorney present would be helpful.
Well, I mean, if
I have
you-
a different question about the attorney. What kind of contractual term of relationship do we have? I mean, if we were to find somebody, A, closer and B, with the skill set, what kind of commitment do we have to the current situation?
It would probably be a 60-day notice.
Do we know that though? I mean, he's
We
contracted.
actually don't have a contract.
Right, he's employed by the council
Yes.
on a year-by-year basis, I would think.
I think it's just month to month, yeah.
Well, I
Aren't
think
we
it's month to
paying-
month.
Huh?
Are we planning a retainer monthly? Is that how we
Yeah.
pay him out?
That's,
No, we just pay a flat fee. He
can I
doesn't
speak
bill,
to that?
he doesn't bill by the hour.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
It's
say. If you
just-
start getting somebody that's gonna bill by the hour,
We
I
pay
can
him
promise you
$3,000.
it's not gonna be $3,000 a month.
No, we've had previous people that we paid a retainer, yeah, and, we've always done that, and we had somebody for 40, 30 years, you know?
And on the flip side of this, I know that we're doing a lot more as a community, and so I feel like Matt's probably utilizing an attorney more than we had in the past, so I get that, it's expensive.
I think, if you want to put out some feelers, find out if there's somebody in the community that I can doubt anybody in the community is going to have the skill set that Wiley Gore have. Wiley wrote the book on municipal law. If you talk to anybody that works from VML or VACO, they call that guy up. He's retired, not our attorney, but the General Assembly calls him up. I mean, really, so, that's.
I
and it-
can also give him a call and ask him now that we're not in the middle of that crisis that we were in the middle of when they took the price increase. He might
Yeah.
consider a reduction.
I mean, it's up to you.
That'd be great.
That would be nice. That would work. Thank you.
Keep our fingers. All right. Anything else on the, I had a question about travel and training. I'd like to send, I think we've got $1,500. I think it would be nice for some of us to go to the VML meetings and stuff. We don't seem to be spending it. There's a big, a couple people that want to go to Roanoke this fall.
They're a training for new council members.
Yeah, that was online though, I think. Yeah.
Oh, they don't do it in person
I
in Richmond anymore.
I don't think so. It's all online now, but
I don't even think we,
It-
I heard it mentioned, but I don't think anything was,
yeah,
I
I
noticed
mean,
that
I think that's,
but
that's,
I don't.
I mean, maybe we should do that, but definitely, but I mean, I think there's conferences are always good. I mean, not, old council doesn't have to go, but if we're budgeting 1,500 and we're only spent 695, I think that's probably mostly for me, and it going to the Mayor's Institute and going to the VML meeting. I'd like to get more of you guys involved in that, because, we don't have to it's up. I'm just saying, I think 1,500 is fine. I'm not trying to change the budget, but let's think about,
But it's a good thing to go.
let's get
Yes.
some people going. It's a good opportunity to meet other people and see how other people do things. And we could stay within budget and not have, so, all right.
I have another
One other,
question.
go ahead, Cindy.
On the line items that we haven't spent anything in the last 5 years, community promotion and town beautification. Could we combine those into, I guess, the design committee, if that's the place you want it, or delete them? I just have a
Okay.
problem with nothing there for 5 years.
No, that's fine. I can delete those line items. The items for holiday decorations are down in admin, so.
Okay,
And my question on that page was the office supplies. Are we really saying that there's not going to be any council-related office supplies for
The
the
only thing
year?
I could think of was printing, but what a pain to have to code in council for a few copies a month.
Yeah, it comes out of administration, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah, that
does.
part of it. And the only thing that we spent money on was business cards.
Oh,
And
no.
it's $45 or something like
Oh.
that. So
Okay,
we can absorb that for you.
thanks. It seemed strange to have it listed and present in prior years and say we weren't going to do anything this year, so.
All right,
Thanks.
so any questions on page 10? So, all right, big one on administration, I guess it's posted 11 and paid and 12 and
13.
13. So any questions on that? Go ahead, Lisa.
My first question starts on page 9. Your year to date, it doesn't say what the date is through,
9.
It's through February.
was through February. Okay, so
Oh.
I assumed it was through March when I did my analysis, so, I apologize.
Okay, any questions about admin?
Yeah, I have several questions. But my numbers might be slightly off now that I realize what the actual date was. Admin revenue for vehicle license fee, for fiscal year 25 is 28,691. Actual for 24 was 31,688. Budgeted
Wait
for.
a minute, Lisa, can you
Lisa,
tell us
11.
how high or low on the page
Middle of
you
thing,
are or
about
something?
7 days.
I'm on page 11.
I am too.
apologize.
Vehicle
So
tax.
I'm in revenue, just in revenue.
It's about the 8th one down.
Yeah,
Okay.
10 down, yeah.
vehicle tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you could increase this to 29,000 for the coming year. That was one of them. Communication tax reduced, from 72,000 to 65. Current year appears to
Do
be
I-
coming in.
You want to get concurrence on that one, and I'm glad to make the change.
Wow.
Add $2,000 to the revenue item of vehicle tax.
That is.
Based on the two previous years, that seems reasonable, 24 and 25.
Was 31,000.
Right.
25 was 28,000. Yeah, I could agree with increase there. How do you feel, Matt?
I'm fine with that.
So just to be sure I'm following, this is an increase in what we expect to
Anticipate.
receive
Yes.
based on
Historical.
what we will levy, not,
Well, this is a flat rate. Every vehicle gets, what is it, 30?
31.
31. This is a flat rate, and they're not, he's not,
30?
and Matt has not suggested an increase to that. So this is just based on our historical collections of that revenue. I think we could probably go to 29,000. And like, I've got a lot of little nitpicky things just because I'm trying not to do an increase or a very small one in taxes. So, communication tax, let's see, reduced proposed, from 72,000 to 65,000. The current, year appears to be coming in about 15,000 under our budget for the current year, and our historical was only 64,788 for 24. I think 72 is probably too high.
Could I ask a question about why the reduction from 73 to 74 actual? Do you have a reason for that?
Yes.
Well, you get it per month, so we just haven't, we probably only got this up through January. So if you prorate it based on
On the
year.
payments coming
Yeah,
in?
and some of my numbers are gonna be off because I didn't realize the extra
Right.
month. I was dividing everything by 9 months, except for the wharf, which I divided by 6 months because they're not open 12 months out of the year. So that was the one on communication tax. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on it.
So do you want to drop that by 2?
No, Lisa. I don't know about that. Because last year was 72,000.
so what is the
Communicate, so,
communication tax?
no, we brought in last year's budget was 72,000.
got 42.
But we've got 42 in, and I had it at a 9 months. So this number that I had for 12 months based on the monthly for 9 months is 56,391. That number is probably higher than that because I added a second month or an additional month.
Probably.
So any,
So you're
do we have any insights on why from 2023 to 2024 it went down by,
No, it's all about whatever they're
7,000.
collecting on your individual bills for your telecommunications.
So the number you're suggesting under communication is 65?
Well, actually, if we could probably go up a little bit on that base because I didn't realize it was only 8 months in. Matt, what do you suggest?
Well, if it's 8 months in, then that's $5,000 a month. That's 60 a year. So already I'm up at 72. I mean, we could drop it a little bit, but I don't.
As long as you feel like this is a number we're gonna attain, 'cause
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get it this year.
I
And we
don't
didn't
know.
get it last year.
Right.
This 42, Matt, I know you discussed that. It's based on how many months?
Well, it's reported up through February, but again, I don't know if we received February when we got this. So that's the only, what I could say is that this could be 5 or 6 months.
What, do we get the same amount every month or does it vary every month?
No, it varies every month.
Okay, well, that answers that question. Well, let's just leave it at 72. Nobody seems to have a, no, that's just, yeah, all right.
All right, transient occupancy tax, which we've kind of touched on already. The proposed budget of $26,000, current on par to close with only 24,000. I think we're gonna be under budget for this year too, which Matt also indicated. I don't think that we should budget for 26,000. I think we should budget to 24,000 for the current year or the coming year. I know this is,
You won't get any argument from me. The hotels are down, the inns are down. You know, we're not, so
I know.
it's $2,000 and it offsets the vehicle tax.
Yeah,
So
so we didn't make any money there.
No, and I'm about to take a big hit to meals tax. Our current year looks like we'll be closing 11% under what we budgeted. Of course, that was also based on 9 months.
right.
So it
I
might,
think it'll probably be about, you'll be about right.
you think?
Yeah,
Okay, as long, because otherwise
because also you have to remember, not everybody paid.
How's that going?
It's going beautifully.
So if you earlier commented that if we lose 2 or 3 restaurants, are we going to get 280?
That's why I'm raising the rate. And the restaurants we're keeping are the powerhouses.
So
So-
the rate's going up. Okay.
well, so, in
Oh,
my
up
notes, I
5.5.
forgot it was only going up 0.5%, so.
Yeah, it's not going up a lot.
And so I put 5.5, which is wrong. I still think 280 is high. And I don't want to say that because obviously I want to see that we revenue coming in for the expenses, but
Right,
I'm
but
a-
you're also experiencing currently what it might look like. I mean, already, you know,
Okay.
the Charlotte is rarely open,
okay.
you know. La Tavola's not hitting it out of the park.
Yeah, well, they're
They
closing.
closed.
Yeah,
As of yesterday.
As of yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yesterday was their last day.
was it?
Yeah.
Yep, they
Well,
shared
they
on
kept that
Facebook
secret pretty
Saturday.
Good.
And then did Foggy Place?
They're closed.
They're
closing
closed, but
point.
I mean.
Well,
they-
there's that one's still up in the air, but but OT is in,
So that's 4.
yeah.
Wow. To trim the budget, guys.
Okay,
Real.
so that was just revenue and then I go into expenses. I don't know if everyone else wants to comment.
Well, do we
on
want to
that.
lower that revenue or?
What Matt thinks
Matt-
will be okay.
Okay, well, let's see, he's our manager. Let's go. All right. Okay, questions about expenditures?
Yes. I have several. Legal and collection fees, have not used this category in the last 3 years. You budgeted 5,500. Is this something coming up for the next year?
On to the next page.
Oh, yeah, page 12.
Legal and collection.
Well, they spent 11,304. 24, they spent $11,000.
Yeah, we have used it in past and now we're gonna switch over to the collections company that the county uses.
Okay. So I apologize, not 3 years, but.
But
we-
we're
we
also-
did Pay for it. We didn't pay
we-
for it in 25 or. 26.
Right. Right.
All right, so it is something that's coming up. Okay. Audit are there fees going up?
This year, they're going up because we have to have a single audit because we
Oh,
spent
we hit the
federal money.
mark.
We hit the
Oh,
mark.
Okay.
I know, I tried.
Credit card fees. In the current year, we are projected to spend 16,547. In this category, historical varies year to year. Thoughts on reducing projection by 20,000? Did I say 20,000? That seems high.
That is high.
Because
I don't know.
To 20,000, yes, okay.
Oh,
reducing
drop
this
3,000 out of that.
Yeah,
The only reason I'm gonna say that is that we're making a concerted effort to have people pay automatic pays and it's working. But the more they automatically pay, the more credit card fees we incur.
but once we go to HRSD, the water and sewer credit cards are gonna go filter through them, right?
Correct.
So we won't be paying that fee anymore.
Right, but that's recorded down in, yeah, you're right. You're
Okay.
right.
We're not paying charge SD.
I don't think so.
And do we know that they're gonna use a system that doesn't charge the
Uh,
consumer?
That I don't know. I know that they use the same system that we use right now, so our customers won't have a big change in experience when they go in to pay their bill.
The plus one on this whole thing was that we absorbed that fee.
Right. If,
Uh,
I don't know whether they absorb the fee or not. I'll ask.
I don't know. They
Okay.
don't, my water in James City doesn't
Um,
have to pay an extra fee.
Lisa, I'm
Yes.
confused where you are getting the 16,547. I'm not seeing that number.
Credit card fees, because if I looked at 12,410 year to date, I divided it by 9, times it by 12, that's the 16,547.
So you're 23, you think 23 is high, but we don't, all right.
I do think it's a little high. And even with that extra month added back into that number, I still think 20 is probably good. But if you think we're gonna have that much of an increase in online payments,
I know it's becoming more and more popular with everything from taxes to water.
that's fine. I'm just trying to, if we can cut, I want to cut. So,
Is there a charge to put your water bill on a credit card?
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
To
there
to
was.
the town.
Yeah.
Not to
To
the
the
user.
town, not to.
Not to the residents.
Correct.
Okay. Professional development, is there something coming up? Historical would suggest reducing this category to only 3,000.
I gotta find it. Hold on.
Last year we had 9,003.
No, that's what we budgeted. We've only
So we
spent
budgeted-
24.75.
That's because of the master certificate you guys required me to get.
Is there something you want to train new people that if you have somebody coming in as a town administrative, do we need training?
No, I know that there's gonna be training opportunities for everybody, but I'm not exactly sure that, I mean, whether it's 4,500 or 2,500, if you look at I mean, just one zoning conference for me is 2 days long. It's 2 nights in a hotel, it's driving there. I
Yeah, I
mean, it's not, and then if one other person does one other,
Yeah, I think,
Conference.
I'd like to see people get some training. I don't have an issue with that.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, software support. Do we know of an increase to cost? Is this an annual bill? If so, it seems like the projected budget of 12,000 could be reduced to 6,200. Yes, you break it out between software and software support. Where was that?
Well, the year before it was 16,000, then it dropped to 6,000. It's 6,000 year to date through February, so it's probably gonna end up around 10,000.
Okay, so it is monthly.
It is.
Okay. I didn't know that. So 10,000. Okay.
It does seem a little high on the subscriptions.
Subscriptions, everything is turning into a subscription. Our accounting software is turning into an online subscription. Just everything is going online, cloud-based, subscription-based
Not
rather than
licensing anymore.
fee-based.
I mean, it's not
No.
just a license.
Is,
No,
is the water module in here too? Because the admin covers it all,
yeah,
but we won't need water and sewer once HRSD comes in, right?
right, we won't need receivables either. So-
Even for taxes?
No, for taxes, we will.
There's a tax billing module. We don't have the accounts receivable module. No.
Okay.
The utility billing and the tax billing are their own receivable.
Right.
We don't bill and you have to like, you know.
Okay.
So we won't need the water module.
I didn't know if that'd be helpful in the expense at all. Office equipment. Do you have some planned expenditure here? Could possibly reduce to help balance budget, maybe by 1,000. I know I'm being very nitpicky. I'm sorry, guys.
Well,
Take the time here to dive
there. Yeah, we got a lot to pick, because we got to bring it.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Do you have any idea how much all of your little items
I-
added up to?
No, I started to do it and then I got other things popped out today, so I didn't get a chance to do it all. And I didn't know if everything would fly. And of course, now that I didn't know we were only 8 months in. All right, so that was my thought with that one. Advertising, the proposed budget is 6,000, which seems low.
I'm counting more on Main Street's work. So mine is just gonna be small pushes and almost all is gonna be
For permits,
Eastern
right?
Shore posts and things like that.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
You're on
was
legal
the
ads,
permits.
yeah.
That's,
legal.
that's the legal ads that I was talking about.
That's what I thought that advertising was for, yeah.
Okay. Telephone, the proposed budget seems low, which is 4,500. We're already over that amount for the current year with 3 months to go. Of course, that's now
Didn't we
4 months.
change people?
Unfortunately, when I went line by line, I found things to increase and decrease, potentially.
We didn't change phone people now.
Are you guys have a new phone system?
No,
Oh.
Not
You need
yet.
to.
love to.
Vehicle insurance, I was interested, admin had never had a vehicle, so why do we need insurance?
It's the zoning truck that I use.
Zoning
So
check, okay.
A zoning truck.
All right, parades, events.
it's
historic-
paid for and you don't have, no. I mean, it's paid for and I've never once submitted a mileage reimbursement request for using my personal vehicle. So
So we
I
have a
wasn't
separate
thinking-
truck that you
we have a
use.
separate truck
The old
because we-
truck,
we
right.
traded one in.
Right, yeah.
police chief could use it.
It's a Beetle, yeah.
It is a beater.
Okay,
Parades and events, historical data would suggest a budget of 6,000, which I feel is too high.
Way too high.
Could we reduce by half?
Or even more. I've mentioned that for the past several years. We're not spending money.
Well,
on
we're,
parades and events.
it's the two parades really that it comes down to, and then a couple of, folks that want to make copies for an event, that type of thing. I mean, it's nickel and dimes. So it's really the two parades. And for the St. Patty's Day parade, I know that they want to try to get two bagpipe bands next year rather than just the one. And I mean, everybody has such a great time at these parades. So, I mean, can I drop it? Can I drop it by a couple thousand?
yeah,
Sure.
let's do that.
I mean, I'm not suggesting do away with it, but yeah, just.
Yeah, let's drop it to 2,000. Yeah, save some money there. To drop it to 4, drop it by 2.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was not clear about that.
And my last one is probably exciting for everybody. The Main Street grant match is too high. We only requested 45,000 in matching funds for the coming fiscal year. You could reduce by 12,005.
Wow.
Thank you.
So
45,000 is what you want to take it to?
Yes.
Yep, that
that's
just
what-
mirrored the previous
Yeah,
year.
'cause
You're
I
right.
looked that up. Lisa, it's 57.5 and 15,000. We're giving 72.5 to Main Street. That's a lot of money.
Well, you're not,
But you're a police
But,
officer.
but 57.5 in this year is all coming back to the community. It doesn't stay with Main Street.
How's it come back?
And all of our advertising that we do via grants
But that's
and.
Advertising for
that's not
tourists.
dollars.
I'm sorry?
That's not dollars. When you say
Yeah.
coming back to the
Yeah.
community.
But it is, it's coming back in tax revenue for people visiting our restaurants or buying stuff in our shops. I mean, all of that counts.
And we're predicting down.
No, I am, but I don't think that's because Main Street has done anything wrong. I think there's bigger issues than Main
you
Street.
can't control the.
So I wanna understand, so what I see for Main Street Partnership is 15,000.
Yes.
Is there a different line item that you're
Yes.
talking about?
Too
do
above
off
it
from that.
is Main Street grant match.
Ah, thank you. So the partnership stays as is. The 1-2 above it changes.
Yes.
So
Thank
that
you.
$55,000 or 57.5, whichever way you want to look at. Is that strictly tourism?
No. Some of it is for the murals that we're putting in this year and 15,000 of it you all allocated to us to work on the open for business plan, which we have not taken out yet.
So
And that's to help recruit and retain our current businesses. It's
have to
gonna,
work on that.
we're
Step up the plan.
working on
Mayor and
it.
I talked about this today, tourism's great, but Now, when you look down Market Street, 55% of those businesses are closed.
The other,
So is part of that grant
yes,
open for business? Is that
that's,
to
we're working
retain?
to help with retention and recruitment.
I mean, thank goodness the Lilliston building is now occupied. It would really be a hole if that were still
Because the
empty.
entire block across from it is empty.
Yep.
From Car Place to Foggy Place, 55% unoccupied. Yeah,
And
I counted the doors.
Yeah, we counted about 12 empty storefronts a week
Yeah.
or so
I think your
ago.
numbers.
That's probably about right.
Well, in our
Yeah,
district.
that's about
16 are
right.
empty out of 29.
Keep going with this.
Yeah, let's get back to the budget here.
That's fine. I
Yeah.
just wanted to make that point so we could reduce
Thank
that.
you.
And that was all I had for admin.
Anybody else have anything about admin?
Nope.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute, can you back up? Holiday decorations,
Yeah.
Oh.
is that in any way redundant with the capital improvement plan holiday decorations?
The 954 is only 2026. 2027 is where the 75,000 was. So
Yeah, so
no,
What's
it's
the
not
9,000 for?
For
And
next year, yeah.
That's what we budgeted.
Every
Yeah.
year we budget something for holiday decoration.
Well, you gotta have, you pay for the lift and that's a couple grand for that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Putting up the banners and things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, new bells, new, you
Yeah.
know.
Some of these bows are going bad that we're gonna,
okay,
we're using now.
Yeah, that's just general
Yeah.
maintenance and upkeep.
Yeah. Stuff's expensive. And a lot of that stuff is made in the United States though.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
no.
They make the things, you know. All right, we're on police department. This is, I guess, the 14, yeah. There's not much we can do about revenue on the side of that, but please. So you, okay, you got something you're gonna do with revenue for that?
I don't know. The law enforcement funds, the proposal reduces the current budget from 34,000 to 32,401. But we already have 35,698 in house. What is the timing of these funds and will we receive another allocation before the end of our fiscal year? If so, could we raise the anticipated revenue?
It's annual. ANPDC notifies me of the direction that they're seeing from the state, and they're seeing that this is going to go down. They
Okay.
didn't give me an indication of how much.
ANPDC.
Yeah, I come back, Hampton Planning District
comes from
Commission.
there.
Okay, same.
But it
thing-
doesn't come from there, but they're the
Okay.
ones that manage that grant for Accomack County and Northampton County.
I had the same question for highway safety grant.
Yeah, highway safety grant. We're in the middle of a
Still working on it?
discussion. Yeah.
Okay. And then for DCJS overtime, we haven't received any revenue in the last 3 years, so why are we anticipating 7,500?
I'm not, to be honest with you. I think that should come out.
It's gonna be,
Zero.
it's not gonna help.
DCJS.
Department of Children. what's it?
Criminal justice.
Yeah, that's just grants, yeah. All right,
Anything else? I have,
Yeah, police car payments down at the bottom, 19,660.
so our.
that's our loan on
Loans
USDA.
on our police cars.
Yeah, we bought 4 cars in the last 5 years.
On loans.
Yep, we get a reduced, you know,
We bought it from USDA. They gave us a 35% grant and a 65% loan,
at a low interest rate, right?
very low.
Yeah.
I also, for expenditures, I had training. Is there something coming up in the next year outside of the new officer training, which is in another category?
No, that's just chief's standard number.
Okay, because
I mean, we could take 1,000 away from it, but I don't know with a new officer that I wouldn't take it away.
Let's get back to the elephant in the room about the police wages. Do we want to, we've had some comment about whether we want 4 or 5 officers here. Let's, we need to make a decision on that before. Let's-
So does
Can
that,
we make a decision on that?
well.
Is that
it's-
related to that? Yeah.
Yes. it's
Okay, thank you.
related to the wages.
Oh, okay.
Does the figure here include holiday wages? because I noticed in 2024, we did not have police coverage on just about, I think there was one holiday that we did have coverage. And so it seems to me that we should have coverage on holidays. I don't understand not having it, I guess is my question.
They work their normally scheduled work days.
So a holiday could mean that there's no one scheduled?
That could mean that, but if it were, let's say, a Memorial Day or a Labor Day or something like that, then he staffs up. If it's election day and no one was normally scheduled, then no one is on shift. That's just how it works.
Is that overtime?
But they get paid for the holiday, of course. Yeah, of course.
Does that come to this next line of overtime compensation?
It's not overtime, it's part of their base salary because this base salary is based on 2,080 hours. The 2,080 hours includes holidays.
I guess I'm saying if it means overtime on, say, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day,
Then
when a
they,
lot of
I have
people are out
budgeted
and about,
overtime.
then there would be coverage on those holidays, potentially even 2 shifts.
Yeah,
Okay.
But it's
My question.
scheduling too, right? Because it's not necessarily overtime. Or it is for one officer, but not for all, right? You're saying that they would be scheduled that day anyway, and that's regular salary?
if they're normally scheduled and it's a holiday, they would receive their work hours and their holiday hours. So they would receive double time for that day.
Isn't it something like 80 hours within their 2-week work?
Hours
week?
worked, yeah, 80 hours worked during their 2-week period. Anything above that
Is
work
overtime.
is overtime.
Right.
Work,
Holidays, double time.
But it depends on your 2-week period.
right, but that's not, holiday time isn't worked time, so you don't count
But
that
if
towards
overtime
overtime.
Is it regular work time? It's still double time, no?
Yes,
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But for overtime, let's say, for example, they work and they have 90 hours that week because they got 10 hours holiday pay. They wouldn't be in overtime because what put them in overtime,
Is
It's not
40-hour
worked.
work week is, anything over that is your overtime, but your holiday pay is double pay, right? For the
If you're-
30-hour work.
straight pay.
double straight pay.
Yes.
But they didn't actually physically work the extra hours.
Yeah, let's,
So confused.
let's not. I don't think this is a, we're gonna change the budget here of this. Okay, let's get back to the point.
Well, and the budget does have to include sufficient.
But he's
money
put it in here. Let's just
to
take his word for it.
include those times.
I think he's done that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
As long as it's in.
It doesn't sound like we're
Yeah,
getting
we've
anywhere.
got $12,000 worth of police overtime scheduled.
Yeah. So let's just,
budgeted.
all right, we need, Mavis talked about the 5th officer. We need to decide whether, how we're gonna move forward on the 5th officer. So,
Just say this. In terms of the 5th officer, everybody thinks that's going to be crime prevention. Crime prevention isn't the number of officers you have on duty. Crime prevention is what people do to prevent crime to themselves. We may need the other officer for coverage on, so that when you pick up the phone, you can get somebody immediately, and that to me is important. But having to go through the recruit young trainee process again and again and again is fruitless. That's what I'm trying to say. That if we do this by recruiting an officer who's already trained and already ready to get on the street, then we're doing something. But just to add another officer and another part to the payroll doesn't make sense to me.
we haven't hired anybody that's been trained like recently, have we? We
No.
Yeah,
We've been training when they leave.
yeah, but he's the last, yeah, but he didn't stay.
Lasted a
But
minute.
so we don't have people applying that have a lot of training, correct?
We don't have anybody applying because we don't have an opening.
No, I'm talking about it when we do normally do the opening, we don't get a ton of people applying that are certified, that are
Typically, no.
people that we want to have. I mean, we get, some people want
And
to,
didn't I just read that only lost several police officers? Three.
yeah.
Because
Don't know.
Who knows?
Wasn't in the paper.
So, we need to reaffirm that we're moving forward with 5 officers.
I support it. I mean, as you might expect, disagree with the previously stated opinion. I think it is a deterrent to crime to have more police driving our streets, particularly in the evenings and late at night. I think we need a fifth officer. I understand the problems we've had in the past recruiting and training people. But that's the job market we're in. I don't see any impacting that. And we certainly are just, to me, it's just wishful thinking to think we can recruit somebody that's already trained.
It may be wishful thinking, but I think it's a sounder way to go because in most positions, you have to go after somebody. You're not gonna, you can't wait for them to come to you. There's got to be an active recruiting to get somebody to come in here and do the job. And you can show me one time where an officer patrolling prevented a crime, and then I will give up this ghost.
I have a question. Is the police department asking for another?
Yes,
Yes,
They are asking for one.
they've been asking for quite a while now.
And when previously, we did have 5 police officers. When I first came on council, we always had 5 police officers.
May I ask a question of Mavis? I just want to clarify something. So Mavis, what you're asking for would be to try to recruit a more senior person. So does that mean you'd be willing to take at least some of that 18,000 in training money and top off the salary?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
I
that's
want
what
somebody
I'm
who
doing.
could hit the ground running.
Okay.
Well, I get, this is probably a question for the chief. Is that recruiting something that they've ever done or thought about?
Everybody steals from us.
That's poaching.
Are we gonna have an issue with,
Very quickly approaching their 2-year anniversary, so we've retained them.
so are we gonna have an issue with them if we get somebody in at a higher, pay them more just because they have? Is that
So
gonna-
if we do
Maybe
not
a signing
hire them-
bonus as opposed to a salary.
We have a
increase.
signing bonus already, don't we?
Yeah.
We do, yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like the consensus is that we want to hire a 5th officer. My question is if we do this, hold on, if we do this and we don't have any success in 4 or 5 months that we give up on it, I don't know. It just seems like it just maybe we just can't have an opening. Just seems like it messes up our budgeting.
well, we could always do a budget transfer mid-year if we don't have any hiring success.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, it'd be nice to get somebody that has training, but we've tried it before and we had the one that came for a while.
Mhm.
And he didn't mean he didn't stay. So
Yeah.
just because he's trained doesn't mean he's going to stay.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, so it's, any problems with 5th officer?
Well, I have some questions and some concerns about a 5th officer, and that is, like I said, we always had one, but I would want something, I would like for the residents to be able to call a number, and if not get one of our officers, at least leave a message. I know people who have tried to reach our police officers for days and have been unable to. So I would say, if this, and I asked Chief this, would it increase patrols? And he said, no. Why would it not?
I'm not sure that doesn't make any sense.
If we have an extra officer, another officer, I would think it would.
I thought you were asking, would it mean that somebody was in the office to answer calls?
No,
No,
that's not
because
what I
I feel like that was a discussion we had recently too.
That was,
Not
Yeah, I-
tonight, yeah.
Yeah,
He
that's
said
what I
no, that would not
No, that's
happen.
not, that is.
But I think that just having a phone number that people.
I thought we already had I thought we had a business phone.
We
number.
do have a phone number for the police.
And they have you can leave a message, right?
You can leave a
And
message.
nobody answers it. You have to go call the county.
Well, I understand not answering and I'd rather have the people out on the street.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
but
right.
I do think they should be returning the call if you leave a message, yeah.
What's the number?
In the-
8577.
787-8577.
No, seriously, guys. I
It's
mean,
8577. I don't remember the first. Is it 787?
I do think, and hold on, now I've just lost it. Anyways, it'll come back. You guys talk.
All right, then here's my question. If we don't hire a 5th police officer, do we have to raise these taxes and water rates?
Potentially.
but not as much.
Not nearly as much.
I thought we were only getting $16,000 from their tax increase.
Right, well, it's
So if we
also,
save 80,000, we're
we
gonna-
have one tax increase here, then you have the water increase,
Oh, yeah, right.
you know, I mean, all of those add up.
Well, we could definitely get rid of real estate if tax increase, but, yeah, if we didn't hire a police officer, yeah.
Oh,
Is there any way to, I guess if we hire a new police officer, have them sign a contract to say, okay, I will stay?
we have
We
that
have-
contract.
And the other guys buy them out, right?
Actually, no, not anymore. We take them to collection.
Because
I'm
didn't the
sorry, I
county
didn't hear
used to
your
pay, if an officer that was recently trained and we paid for their training, I thought the county had recruited those people in times and paid for their, their training.
That hasn't happened during my tenure.
Okay, but it did happen.
And not under mine either.
I
So
don't
it's,
think
I think it's been a while.
Mm, I would like for us to be able to have a fifth police officer, but I don't want us to be so stuck on it that we don't really consider it. In other words, I'm not totally sold on the idea that it's what we need to do.
Well, you,
Totally sold on the idea that we need to raise taxes.
you need to decide tonight because it's going to publish something in the paper here. So we can't study this any farther, you know.
Well, can't we put it in the proposal, have it considered at the hearing, and then opt not to go forward with it and drop back on what?
Yes,
the-
you can always go back. You
Okay,
can't-
and,
yes.
and maybe we need to hear from the public about this
I think we have
issue.
I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, everybody wants,
Yeah.
the whole town wants.
I don't think you're going to get negative
I don't
opinions
have,
on
I
that.
don't have an objection to a fifth officer. I have an objection to the money and what we, but what we put into it, not just for the officer itself, the young guy itself in the training, and then the regular police officer has to work with that person too. We're losing a lot.
We can cut back anything after the public hearing as long as it was going in a negative direction, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we just can't add additional taxes without another public hearing. So we can advertise, and then if we get feedback about a lot of these things, there's other things on here besides police officer. So we can, we agreed that we're going to advertise our budget with the fifth police officer, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Any other questions about police?
Yes.
We're going to have substantial numbers here. Or are we looking at five?
One of them potentially, computer maintenance, I just felt like was 4,500 a good number for you? Cause it's kind of, our historical is kind of all over the place.
We just switched new IT people,
Okay. Okay.
so I don't know.
Oh, don't know. Okay. And then cameras annual cost, what does that entail? Cause that's a lot, that's a good chunk of change.
That's subscriptions for the cameras themselves. It's also the SIM cards that we have to have for those cameras that don't have direct internet connectivity. And internet.
Okay,
Is there an opportunity to, as one goes down, you buy the one that you don't need this kind of thing for the kind of support? I don't understand how all this.
No,
works.
they're all networked together. That's how they're all visualized on one giant TV screen. So
Okay.
I can't parse those out. I can't go with a different company.
well, some
we can
cameras
get
cost
two-
more than others because
Right,
the
we can
SIM
get-
cards would cost more, correct?
We can get different
Yeah,
kinds of cameras, yes.
right.
But
And-
we want to get the camera that's right for that situation.
Right. But the ones at the police station, we don't have to pay for, that's free. That they're cheaper because they don't hook up to a SIM card. I mean, the
Correct.
ones at the visitor center, correct?
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
right. Are there any other questions about the police? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fire department, fire program funds, I guess that's kind of a pass through, correct?
Yes.
Contribution to fire department, that's, I think some people had talked about increasing that, but with the way things are going, I don't know if we want to do that. If it's up to council.
And was it Greg Smith? Isn't, that was
Glenn.
here
Glenn.
Glenn.
talking about
Yeah.
the washers and dryers?
That's not, this is a different line
Just-
item. That's coming later, right? Correct.
Isn't that?
No, that's the
contribution?
current year.
Isn't that part of that contribution or not?
Oh, no, it is yeah.
No.
No, it's not on this one.
Okay. Yeah,
Where is
it's-
that? Where
it's
is that
not
coming in
here.
the budget?
It's in this year, not
Oh,
next.
this year. We have, yeah, we can just, we need to decide that. yeah.
Have we paid them for the current fiscal year? Because it's not showing up here. We have, okay.
We have, yeah.
Say again, Lisa, please.
Oh, the 25,000 that we've budgeted has been paid, but it's not showing up in this report. I was just asking.
All right, so nobody has any problems with the fire department is done here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is about the, I guess we should bring up the $40,000 they requested.
Was it
right?
35.
35, and that's coming out of this year's budget. It's not a, but do we want to take it up at the regular 14th or we?
I would take it up at the next meeting because that way you're reviewing current year financial statements.
Okay, so,
Yeah, I believe I have that.
Specific, right?
yeah, but that's coming out of
The
this year's
extractor
budget.
and
Yeah,
dryer.
yeah.
And we find that it's not really that expensive.
Well, where were we going to get that money? From capital expenditures? Or are we going to, we just have that money sitting around?
We have that money sitting around.
That's an excess from, it's not coming out of our reserves. It's just excess we
No,
have for this
it's
year.
excess from this year because we still are having excess billings for
So-
sewer.
Okay, all right. So if we don't spend it, it would go into the reserve to build up the reserve. Okay,
That's correct.
all right. Public Works, we're on 16. Yeah, does anybody have anything about Public Works?
Yes,
Okay, let us have it.
sorry.
No, that's fine. I just,
Actually, my first question, I'm gonna not even worry about. Second question was electric services. Current projection based on the first 9 months was 41,414. With something coming, is something coming up that would cause you to budget higher?
I'm trying to move everything into one space so you can see
Okay.
what utilities all in one place.
Okay.
And they're gonna go up.
Do you remember?
Well, I knew Enoch went up too.
I'm sorry.
go
Do
ahead.
you know what the electric rate went up in as of April 1st?
No, ma'am, I
What?
don't.
Okay, but they
A lot.
advertised as yes, a substantial increase in the rates.
Okay. Heating oil, we've not purchased in the last 3 years. Are we low and due for oil or? Okay.
I thought we did get one load this year.
what
It
do
was, it was recently.
Okay.
what do we have a boiler here still?
Yes.
Oh, I thought we had heat pumps here.
No, and he, no, we had no air conditioning or anything until we got the mini splits. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions about the Public Works Department?
Yes.
Okay,
Street repairs, you're proposing a budget of 20,000, which seems a little low.
It is very, very low. That's why I've got the capital budgeted for 2 years out at
Okay.
100 a year. This is gonna get us the repairs of water, like when we have a water repair. It's gonna do that for us. I'm hoping it's gonna get this back parking lot restriped and sealed,
Is it
Okay.
gonna
not in
get,
that order.
is it gonna get Liberty Street repaired?
No, we're
Liberty
doing that
Street's
this year.
repaired next week.
And how's it going to be? Because I've been told it needs to be crushed, it needs a cold patch to stabilize it.
Well, coal patch is a temporary solution. It's being paved.
what do you,
On- And then after the cold patch, the paving,
Well, no,
stabilize it.
coal patch is something you use for a pothole.
I know what it is.
Okay. So this is hot patch.
So it's gonna be stabilized first.
It's already got
It-
8 feet of 57 underneath it. The 57 is
The gravel.
spilling away. When we repave it, we're taking 8 inches out of 57 and we're gonna put 8 inches or 6 inches of compact concrete in, and then we're gonna asphalt over the top of that. That meets VDOT standards
That
to the
does.
letter.
And when did you say that's gonna be done?
Should be next week.
Repair and maintenance, do you have something coming up in the current year or the next coming year? This year's expenditures have been much lower than previous years.
We're lucky.
Okay. Vehicle fuel seems low.
fuel prices are actually leveling off and going down. Yeah,
When I say low and high, it's just based on historical, I mean,
Yeah.
okay. Small equipment, is there another one that is, this is another one that's all over the place historically? Do we have some purchases planned for the coming year, or could we reduce?
We're gonna need commercial weed whackers. We're gonna need
Okay.
commercial hedge trimmers. Um,
But this
I
is
don't have any
repair.
I don't have any other larger tools that I know of right now.
Okay. Uniforms historically has been under $400. You're budgeting 1,000. I know it's pennies.
No, we do, because we wanted to have each guy have shirts that recognize them
Yeah.
as being part of us. I got 3 years worth of shirts. I need another 3 years worth of shirts.
Okay.
They also get new boots bought for them every year,
Up to $100, right?
something like that, yeah.
Yes, because they have to have specialty boots. And they get $100 allowance, so if they spend over that, that's on them.
But we've got 3,000 in this year's budget. Wouldn't we spend the rest of this year's budget on those items?
We will, yeah.
So
We're going, I don't know
We
what
need
I'm
more
gonna
than
be able to do.
3,000?
What's that?
we need more than 3,000
No.
worth of uniforms.
No.
I have a question, equipment payments. 21,000.
To dump truck?
That's the dump truck, the chipper and the trailer.
That's it. Yeah.
No, we borrowed the money from USDA, just like we do the police cars.
And then my last question was safety street signs. Aren't we replacing all the street signs in the coming year out of CIP? Could we reduce this budget by $500?
The answer is we're not replacing all street signs. We're only replacing those in the downtown district.
Okay. Okay, that's all I had for public works.
17.
17.
That we're not using the Browder Heights anymore?
Well, Browder Height is,
Do we pay?
was used by the reserves in the current year. So we don't have a budget in here for Browder Height now.
So what's your plan on that?
Hiring a DPW guy and have him,
So hiring,
I mean, let me be quite honest with you. Our
Yeah.
garden, those 3 gardens have never looked better.
yeah, can we keep them like that?
Can we keep them like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if we get another person and make it a priority during the season, then I would say we could maintain it. But they've never looked better. But we've spent $32,000 so far on those 3 gardens.
Well, we could always go back in the spring next year, and if we had, had some money, we could hire them again, right? That's what we did this year, correct? Wasn't it?
Well,
They were never-
we just used the reserves from the sewer.
They were never a budget item. So, but we're just gonna be back to what we should have been. We're not hiring an extra guy. It's just going back to normal, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So are we on landscaping? Page
Yes,
17?
yes.
Okay, all right.
Could I comment that normal was not much in previous years? I understand it's a large expenditure, but you get what you pay for. And if we hire someone who knows nothing, that's what we're gonna get.
I have questions. Landscaping department, repair and maintenance, the proposed 6,000 seems quite high when looking at the historical. Do you have something planned for there?
Just things like the fence at the dog park has already been cut.
Oh, that sucks.
It does, but it's not gonna cost $6,000, but it's just one of those things where if we want to start taking better care of our parks and landscaping, then it's gonna cost us a little bit more money.
So same question for vehicle fuel, small tools and tree board beautification.
Well, the tree board beautification, as far as the planting and landscaping, I had addressed that back as one of the material increases.
Well, I
at the
assume that
very
was the
beginning.
6,000 for parks planting and landscaping, which is separate from tree board beautification.
They should both be tree board and park and landscaping are both $6,000.
Yes.
Can I ask if that's really realistic since they're presenting a new plan? Aren't they? I mean, we're waiting for. a
For
plan.
town square?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as far as whether or not it's realistic or not, I would have no earthly idea. So I've seen a plan.
Mhm. It includes things like irrigation and things like that.
Well,
doesn't it?
yeah, but this doesn't include irrigation.
Okay,
The
okay.
irrigation comes out of the ARPA money.
Okay. And then my last question, and I apologize, on my sheet, it says weed control, but it was mosquito control. What is our plan coming up this season?
The contract, we've got somebody whose contract we can work under. There's no one on staff who wants to do the mosquito spraying, so I am going to get registered to be a commercial. I know, but it's off hours. It's the only way it gets done. I can't force somebody to do work.
Is
Yeah.
nobody
Off
else on the shore
hours.
doing it?
What's that?
Nobody else on the shore is doing it anymore?
Nobody that we can afford.
The last guy we had outside of Terry was extremely.
Extremely expensive. So right now, we would be working under the license of the person who handles Chincoteague.
Okay. He also does aerial sprays and stuff.
He
too.
does, but we're not gonna go for the plane route.
No,
No,
can't borrow their plane.
no. So that allows us to do spraying at the same budget that we've got
Okay.
now. And then when we do hire somebody from DPW, my expectation would be that that person is gonna take this role on and go past the exam that you have to pass and, you know.
So if he passes the exam, you don't have to use Shinket, you don't have to use some.
No, if I pass it depends which exam I pass. Right now, I would be passing an exam to be a commercial applicator,
Right.
not a commercial contractor. If I decided to further my career, I could go ahead and do that, but
Okay.
it's not part of my dream.
All right, okay, any other questions about Parks and Rec? Okay. All righty, Marina,
Yes.
okay,
Revenue, wharf gasoline sales, we are on track to bring in about 104,000. Of course, that's a little bit more because of the extra month. Does it make sense to increase this category by 1%?
they talked about this at the meeting, the Wharf Committee, and they've kind of like.
We
this,
look
but,
at, we
yeah.
look at margin dollars. We don't
Yeah.
look at sales and cost because we have no idea what the cost of fuel is gonna be. So we believe we're gonna net $26,000 next year
Okay.
in
Yeah.
gasoline.
Yeah, the
and
Wharf
that's-
Committee went over this pretty well,
They did.
the budget, so I think unless if you have specific questions up there,
I
probably have a little more expertise on it than we do, yeah.
I do. My only other question though was, and it's just, literally just a question. What is rent? Is that for the golf carts?
No. Rent is for the two things. One is M1 and the other is the slip. I'm
that's
sorry,
right.
M1, the slip.
That's right.
And then the other is Mr. Bagwell's parking lot.
Which is in this one. Okay. That's right. I forgot about this.
We
One slip, is that what you said?
Yeah,
don't own the
the
slip.
Historical Society owns it.
owns the slip the next to the,
And we rent it.
yeah,
Yes.
and then we rent it out. It's a big money maker for
It's
us.
a big money maker.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. We can get a big boat in that slip.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on the marina? Water,
Yes,
any questions on water?
yes.
Okay,
Water charges, why is gross water billing revenue falling from 566 in 2023 to 562 in 2024 to 408 this year?
we're using less water.
Okay,
We're using less-
Wait, where are you?
First line, water charges.
Page 19.
yeah, water
Page
charges.
19.
464.
but I didn't hear any of the numbers you read out.
Well, if you look at my
Previous
sheet I
years.
handed out, it's that last page.
Oh, okay, well, that's not
I
helping us.
see it, but I'm not seeing the
You're,
numbers.
you're
that are
figuring out,
listed here.
okay, you're, projecting what the amount's gonna.
2023, it's 520,
Yes,
2024 is
that's the
548. This year's budget was 450, so it's going down.
Yes, it is
And
going
you
down.
say we're using less water.
They're using less water.
So then my question is, are we on track to bring in 408,000 under this budget? Well, it looks like we're on track to bring under 408, which is probably more than that. When we budgeted 450 and you're proposing a 3% increase in this category, does this proposal make sense? How many new connections are you anticipating in 26?
How many new connections in
Because how much
26?
do we increase besides usage, which
Well, they don't-
Well, I know of 9
Nine.
new connections that are possible. Now, do I know that they're gonna construct all in 1 year? No, I have no idea.
impossible. So are you comfortable budgeting, what are we budgeting for? 464.1?
Yeah,
the coming
because the 305 is through February.
Right,
So if you extrapolate that back out to the full number, I think it's closer to the 450. And then a 3% increase on top of that comes
Okay.
to the 464. That 3% just basically pays for standard across the board increases on wages and chemicals and some of the repair work that always sneaks up on us.
I did have a question about purification. It's going up 3% for purification supplies.
That's my guess is what it would go up would be inflationary.
Okay,
The water drop, is that to our three, is that tied to our 3 biggest users? Are they using less, or is that just across the board?
It's across the board. It's in the millions of gallons fewer that we're using.
And no, I mean, other people seeing the same thing, or just, is that?
I think
kinda
more
odd,
people are,
conserving?
well, I'd love to say that out loud, but I'm not exactly sure that's true. I think there's a lot more second homes. I think that there's a lot more traveling that
And people
goes
just aren't
on
there.
and people just aren't there.
It's not like the car washes down a lot or the hospital or anything? Okay.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Are there any other questions about Lisa, you got? some-
yes. Repair and maintenance, we are already over budget in the current year and the previous year was also high. Do we need to increase this line item?
If you could tell me which pipes are gonna break next year, that'd be cool. I really don't know. I really don't know. I mean,
We may
we
not have any next year, but.
may not have any, and then we'll have this fantastic $26,000 surplus. I'd love to see that happen, but it has to be an educated guess. It's over the last few years, that's about what it costs us.
Okay,
We're managing our inventory a lot better than we used to. So we have parts on staff. When one goes on sale, we can take advantage of that.
I mean, we spent 22,000 in 23, so yeah, it's hard to know.
electric services, you bumped that up 17%.
With the
I'm
increase
just
in
not-
the
Increased costs.
Yeah, yeah.
17% though?
Well, I don't
think it's
know,
fine.
whatever volume you're using, but it's April 1st, and I put a big hike on.
Okay.
It wasn't 17.
Dues and memberships, do we have something coming up? We haven't spent anything the past 2 years and the expense for 23 was under $2,200.
Let me find it, please.
Sure.
There it is, $1,000. We pay VRWA, Virginia Rural Water Authority. That's half that.
Okay. Office supplies has not been funded for but some expenses have come out in the past 2 years. Do we need to budget something? Is this only for water bills, which are going away soon anyway?
And that's where I
Okay.
think that plus the postage, if we've got any cushion, are probably there.
Okay. But you're not, I don't think, did you budget? You didn't budget anything.
Right.
Okay. And you're fine with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Tank repair and maintenance, proposed budget of 19,750. Our historical shows nothing coming out of here.
Right.
What do you have planned?
We have a contract with
It's-
Southern Corrosion. It was. part
Oh,
of
that's
last
new.
That's the
year's-
Okay.
That's new.
Is that yearly, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's
I
money.
had a question about water lead copper testing.
The website said 7 to 9. The meeting.
Oh, all
And
right.
we need to go.
Oh, that's fine. We don't have any, we don't have any
Thanks for
time.
coming.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for coming. Yeah. Sometimes we're here till 11.
Water lead.
That's all right.
testing,
I'm sorry.
Water lead copper testing.
Yes.
We did that in 2023. Do we not do that? Do we?
It's
Zero.
Program that we have.
right. The
Oh.
DEQ and Department of Health both program when we're required to perform those tests. It's not part of this year's consumer quality report. So I don't know whether or not it'll be next year or not.
DEQ will let us know.
Yes.
And then the last one was small tools. Do you have any planned purchases for the 3,000?
No, but he always goes through small tools. He leaves them laying on the side of the road. It's shovels, it's pickaxes, I know, but it's a fact of life and I can't stand it either.
That's all I had for water.
Well, there's nothing for sewer unless something,
Actually, that's not true.
well, it's true. Yeah.
Sewer revenue and expenses, we have not been budgeting, but obviously we've had both revenue and expenditures. I know HRSD is coming in. How soon, and should we potentially budget for 3 months?
We could budget for 3 months. My fear is that I know that they HRSD just hired a large law firm that's working on eminent domain for the last pump station. And as soon as they get that, they're gonna close on the collection system and that'll be the end of our,
So soon. Those were all my questions.
Could we back up to page 19, the last line, transfer to reserve 64,000?
yeah, that's
that?
part of, if you look at the 1.1 million on the front page, this 64 is in that number. So it's balancing this budget by bringing dollars over into the surplus on the reserves.
It just seems unusual that we have a $65,000 transfer to reserve and we're raising water rates 3%.
Right, but we're also using it to pay for capital items that we would never be able to pay for without it.
I thought we were required to put so much in reserve every year or not, or we just have to have. a
We're
certain
not,
amount? Oh, not
our,
required.
our policy
Yeah.
requires a certain level of reserve for each general fund, for
Right.
grant matching, for utilities. And there's a formula that goes to each
Right.
one. We're in excess of all of those right now.
But our loan agreement has a reserve requirement as well, correct?
Not anymore. We lost there's no loan requirement in the water bonds.
There's
There's no
There's no
requirement.
reserve requirement in the
Oh,
water
that's
bonds.
interesting. Okay.
And I'm sorry, but I missed the last part of what you were saying, explaining it. We're using it to pay what?
The capital. If you go back to page, I'm sorry, 7.
Yeah.
The second number down, the 1,141,053, that includes the $954,000 capital. It includes the 50,000 sale 250. It includes the, it was 57.5 for,
Main Street.
Main Street, thank you. So that'll drop a little. And then it includes the 63,000 that transfers in from this, and that pays for all of the government operations, which includes the 954 for capital. Is that better?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Anybody, has anybody added up how much we've saved here? Because we knocked.
Not much.
Well, I thought we knocked off $20,000 on the Main Street thing alone, didn't we?
Well, we averaged
12.
12.5 off of that, but then we also removed 7,500 of revenue from the police. So that's 5, 7, 8. We saved 8K.
We added a couple.
Yeah, we added some and we took some, I'll read the list just so you've all got it. And the vehicle taxes, we added $2,000. The top, we subtracted $2,000. The office equipment, we subtracted $1,000. The parades and events, we subtracted $2,000. Main Street, we subtracted $12,500. And in the police, we added, or we removed the revenue of $7,500. That nets to $8,000.
Okay, so what's that do with our tax situation? Yeah, it does. I thought it,
$8,000, I can take 2% off of
so
the
we could go
real
from 4 to
estate tax.
2%, correct?
I can go from 4.5 to 2.5.
Yeah, okay.
Better it's down.
That's a lot more than nothing, if you ask me.
Come up with another 8,000, home free, right?
Well, we just went line by line.
Now we're through. Well, yeah, all right.
So the advertisement I'm gonna put in the paper is gonna look just like the one on page 7, except for I will adjust 25, 29 for the real estate, and I'll do the math to make sure that that's 2% down.
So.
And then I'll also adjust the net 8,000. But it'll adjust a little bit differently in the line items up above. So it'll still balance in the paper. The net difference will be $8,000. It'll be in multiple lines. And we'll take it all from real estate. Deal?
So
Yes.
the 0.2529 on real estate will now
Will
go
change.
to
I don't know the math in my head.
2%
It's
less.
2% less.
2%. Thank you.
Yes.
And the other, and the
Good job.
fire gift, we'll have to talk about it the next, we're gonna put that on the agenda, correct?
Yes, I've got it right here. Fire department extractor on agenda for the 28th.
So I have a question. If we don't spend that money out of the budget, it just goes into reserves or what? If it
Yeah.
is, okay, so we gain
reserves.
reserves back. Okay, all right.
I want to come back.
You just get one chance. I'm sorry, you missed it. No, go ahead. Right, yeah. Okay, what you want to do? Look, go ahead. What page are you on?
On page 4,
Okay,
the capital improvement plan, there was a question about putting something for the school for, and so the engineering report would not be a capital
Correct.
chore, so it doesn't belong there. But where does it go? Can it go? Without it, we seem stuck.
well, it seems like it comes out of, where's the fire department money coming from? I mean, it would come from the same source as excess from this budget, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so I think, do we
And,
have,
and that would be, well, we've got to spend it then
by the
this
end of the
year,
year? Yeah,
and that's only 2 months away. So I would prefer we were to use 50,000 of reserves to budget for the building study at the school, if that's the form of the council.
so we're gonna get some okay. So we're gonna,
What's
Well,
the turnaround time on this study for 50,000?
nobody knows.
Well, I'd have to call the firm to find out. I mean, we've had 6 firms involved so far. 3 of them completely backed out. One of them came on site and actually visited the building and gave me a number to say, I've done buildings like this before and it ranged between 30 and 60. I figure I'll stab in the middle on the high side.
30.
Well, the only reason
Yeah.
I'm saying that is postponing it 2.5 more months. I worry about running into the next winter for them. That's because after the study, then we have to decide what we're gonna do. If
Well,
anything.
that's what I think you need to decide that before you pay $50,000 for a study. I mean, are you actually going to do anything? And if you're not, then why spend the 50?
Good point.
Yes, it is.
Put it on the agenda.
And its future use has never been determined, and that's, we're putting the horse before the cart all the way down the line on
The
this.
horse belongs before the cart.
The future. They have a 40-year lease. That's the future use.
So what
They have a
are you
40-year
saying,
lease. That's the
Mathis?
future lease.
Yes,
It's not gonna
they've
change.
broken their lease.
No,
10
they haven't.
times
No, they
since
haven't.
No.
According to you, you're the only. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Can I make one comment?
yeah.
I see my brown historic signs didn't make it into the capital improvement plan.
Those
So
are
I guess
capital,
I'll
though.
have
They're
to come
three-
back next year.
All right, now it's just a challenge.
okay. Sewer.
So I'm a little unclear about about the school. If we put the school in, if you want, you say you want to
If
pay.
it comes back and says the same thing that the last two.
No. I'm saying how we're going to pay for it if we decide to do it.
Pay for it out of our reserve.
But you
because
just said that, so we pay for it out of reserves this year and also if it clicks into next budget, we pay for it out of the reserves.
I would just put it in next
So
year because we've got enough ARPA project going on right now where it's going to be difficult
Yeah.
to oversee that project as well.
So my question is that if you have a capital improvements thing for next year, you can change how much you put in it. You're not set in stone for this, like you are the budget is you don't, you don't have to pass a budget amendment or anything if you do something with capital
Yeah, you
improvements?
do have to do a budget amendment if you're going to change CIP.
If it's more than, if it's more than some percent.
1%.
So yeah, it might not be that, yeah, so. we'll see.
I think
Yeah.
it would behoove us to hear from the new director at the school, what his thoughts are on this situation.
Well, I think you folks need to decide whether or not you're going to write a check for $1 million.
Well, there's
And
other,
you would like to tell us where we're going to get that million?
Well, no, I'm not. That's why I'm saying if you're not able or willing
Next step.
to take the next step, why take the first one and pay $50,000 for it?
To
I
find
mean,
out.
are you gonna spend, what was the heater? $500,000?
no, it wasn't that much. It was like 280, 290.
We'll call it
300,
300.
yeah, right.
So $300,000. Are you willing to write a check for $300,000 for the school? And if the answer is no, then why spend the 50?
Aren't there other ways to finance it besides the three and writing a check?
We could borrow the money,
right, yeah,
but
right.
that, it's still writing a check. It's just writing a lot of them.
I am a little concerned about borrowing from USDA these days.
Yeah.
Well, I don't agree with Matt on this. I think that the town owns a valuable asset and it doesn't really know what the situation is with the asset. And don't you want to know what the facts are about this valuable asset that the town actually owns?
Yes.
Right?
Well, I agree with you, but
Before I
if
put any money.
$60,000, I'd
I
hate,
know.
we're not going to do
Yeah.
anything. That seems, yeah.
Thought, and
Yeah.
it may provide a new impetus. The problem is you don't have any information, so you can't make any good decisions.
I see what you're saying. Why would we pay for an assessment if we're not willing to put a penny into it?
Right.
But on the other hand, as Casey's saying,
But you've already got the McPherson report that, I mean, it's.
I don't
it
have
was-
that.
Yeah, we do.
You
You
had
had a copy of it. The
it's a
school sent you one.
75-page report. It went
With
through,
photos.
I mean, yeah, it's older, but it's
Yeah.
the exact same list of wants.
Well, wait, put it on the agenda for the April
Just
meeting.
don't have the depth of knowledge.
Do we want to put it on April's meeting because you've got the public hearing for the budget?
I just,
$1,000 price tag on something that you found out in increments already, and then.
I'd put it on, and then we can tell he's not take it off,
Okay,
put it on.
all right, fair enough.
Yeah, I think we need to move forward.
I am done.
Anybody else? All right.
So you're gonna send us the updated, I guess, there's not too much we'd really need to.
There's not too much,
No.
but you'll get an update. I'm leaving for vacation tomorrow.
Yes, sorry.
So I'm gonna come in early and get the ad in the paper
Yeah.
set.
Right.
And then once I do that, then I'll have my work computer with me and
Yeah.
I'll take.
Yeah,
care
I
of
mean, I
sending.
don't, I think we're pretty clear on there are not that many changes, so, yeah.
Right, but I've got to get your board pack out while I'm on vacation too.
Oh, you
so
do, that's right.
This is showing the value. This is the tax one, right, for real property?
I
I'll
don't.
send you
I
everything.
can't tell.
Yeah.
What is this? Matt, what is this last page?
Personal property.
That's personal property
Okay,
tax.
could you define BB, CE, AG?
No, I don't have a key for it. That comes from the county. Those are county.
VH is vehicle.
VH's vehicle.
Okay, so which ones is VH is vehicles?
Mobile home is MH, I think. What was
Shouldn't
that?
have- We shouldn't have any
That's
mobile
weird.
homes.
Personal property.
This-
All of it.
All of it.
All of it's
All
personal
of it.
property.
All right.
So what did you say, Debbie? You knew some of them. No?
I do know it's of them, V8 regular vehicles, there's trailers, TC 17 and TC 15 maybe for trailers.
And 15 is, they don't use the numbers on this one.
There's heavy,
Well, we don't have
heavy
it.
truck.
Can we get a motion to adjourn? We can.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Thank you.
I just want to say, even though we've adjourned, I walked out on the new pavers at the wharf. And